Hey, we're 1 week away from a very public display of authoritarian ambition, a PDAA, if you will. And Donald Trump just got some disturbing news about that. We have it for you in just a second. It's about the comparative enthusiasm for his upcoming MAGA-infused love fest. You know, the corporate-sponsored Saturnalia we're looking forward to. Something that history refers to as the inauguration of the President of the United States.
My fellow countrymen,
I, Dwight D. Eisenhower, do solemnly swear.
I, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear.
I, Lyndon Baines Johnson, do solemnly swear.
Let us encourage individuals at home and nations abroad to do more for themselves.
ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
To a few of us here today, this is a solemn and most momentous occasion. And yet in the history of our nation, it is a commonplace occurrence. The orderly transfer of authority as called for in the Constitution.
The President is neither prince nor pope, and I don't seek a window on men's souls. In fact, I yearn for a greater tolerance.
My fellow citizens, today we celebrate the mystery of American renewal.
I, George Walker Bush, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
That I will execute the office of President to the United States faithfully.
That I will execute
Faithfully the office of President of the United
office of
States.
President of the United States faithfully. So help me God.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
That I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
the office of President of the United States.
Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. do solemnly swear
That I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
the office of President of the United States.
Before we share today's story from the Washington Post that details the many discrepancies between the upcoming inauguration and past ones, let's remember, as Jagger points out, that no matter what happens next Monday, the carefree days of Donald Trump's absurd first ascension to the pinnacle of power, there'll be much less of a laughing matter moving ahead, if you can read my lips.
It's not so important. I should have worn
Oh,
my shoulder
surprise!
pads.
I have
Now,
some pretzels for
Melania,
you.
do you know what you just said?
Well, you're cheery.
Me? I'm always like this.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You're certainly not going to be.
When can I see
You're
you
bad
walk
company.
away? Can't wait.
Oh, you suck.
I'm important. You want to be me, don't you? Quite a figure. Quite a figure. And no. I like your nail polish, but not too much. Now pretend I like you, but I hate you inside.
You're a creep.
I think you're old like dirt.
Well, as we gear up for a day never before seen in American history, early returns suggest a drop-off of this year's inauguration hustle and bustle compared to previous events, with hotel bookings way down and applications for protest permits that are also off pace compared to the last time Donald Trump took office. Now, as you know, the president-elect's first inauguration, that sparked furious protests that led to violence and arrests in January 2017. This year, the National Park Service, well, they've fielded far fewer requests for permits, and law enforcement officials really don't anticipate having trouble managing any crowds that do converge to oppose the incoming president. As the Washington Post reported just earlier today, the inaugural events will draw supporters, industry leaders, and diplomats of all backgrounds to Washington, D.C. to join the president in ushering in America's new golden era. Rachel Reisner, Director of Communications for the Trump-Vance Inaugural Committee, said in a statement, "While hotel occupancy rates in D.C. hovered around 95% the night before Trump took the oath of office 8 years ago, as his supporters and protesters converged, the rate for this coming Sunday was about 70% as of last week. According to analytics firm Smith Travel Research, Obama's first-term inauguration brought 97.2% hotel occupancy to the district. For his second swearing-in, the rate dropped to 78%. Patrick Mara, chairman of the D.C. Republican Party, said his phone has been ringing almost constantly with requests for tickets to the presidential rally, swearing-in ceremony, parade, and inaugural ball. He said it is a notable change from the same time in 2017, when some of the calls were from constituents who wanted to complain about Trump. The never-Trump universe was bigger then, he said. A spokeswoman for Delaware's Eleanor Holmes Norton, who received 198 inauguration tickets to dole out to constituents, said her office has received 1,264 requests. Trump has raised over more than $170 million for his inauguration, a record amount, first reported by the New York Times. In addition to the parade and swearing-in ceremony, the celebratory weekend so far includes what Trump's team is casting as a victory rally Sunday at Capital One Arena and a Tuesday national prayer service at Washington National Cathedral. An updated schedule released Monday morning includes a kickoff event Saturday at Trump's golf club in Sterling, Virginia. Elliot Ferguson, the head of Destination DC, the city's marketing arm, said as of last week he was still awaiting confirmation about official inaugural balls behind schedule of the typical timeline. The Park Service is still processing several permits for demonstrations timed to the inauguration, the largest of which is scheduled for the Saturday before Inauguration Day. Organizers for that event, the People's March, estimated in an application that 50,000 people would attend their protest of Trump and policy priorities that they say will undermine the rights of women, immigrants, the LGBTQ community, and racial and religious minorities. That's far below the roughly 470,000 demonstrators who crowd scientists estimate protested at Trump's Women's March in the run-up to his swearing-in 2017. Some protesters on the day of Trump's first inauguration blocked security checkpoints and broke car and store windows. Police arrested more than 200 people that day. Almost all charges were dropped after prosecutors struggled in initial trials to tie defendants to specific damage. Pending applications with the Park Service for January 20th, which falls on a federal holiday honoring the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., include submissions from the Answer Coalition, a far-left leaning group that has in the past 15 months organized several large pro-Palestinian protests in D.C., and the Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network, which hopes to host a 10 a.m. march from McPherson Square to the Metropolitan AME Church. The drop-off in hotel bookings, and I'm sure the flags flying at half-staff, that will surely grate on the emancipator-in-chief, who will assume office for once and for all to fulfill his promise to snake America great again.
You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.